Hello everyone. In today's video, we are going to be talking about oral birth control and birth control in general. And we are specifically doing this because this is in response to an article written this week in the Washington Post that I think is a really important article to discuss for women. So in today's video, you can expect us to talk about this article. You can expect us to talk about some of the physiologic changes that can happen if you're on birth control. You can expect us to talk about when birth control is absolutely indicated and when maybe it's not indicated at all. And you can expect us to empower you to make informed decisions, because really that is what I am all about in our practice. So without further ado, what's this article? It is an article posted this week in the Washington Post titled, "Women Are Getting Off of Birth Control Amid Misinformation Explosion." If that is not a clickbaity article, I don't even know what to say. And this article goes on to basically say that the symptoms that women are experiencing, stating that they have symptoms like weight gain and changes in mood and all of these other things, are all coming from this misinformation from Gen Z influencers, and that pretty much women are wrong for thinking this. And I would say that that is gaslighting at its core. I think that at the end of the day, right, articles like this set us back from what the goal should be, which is informed consent in medicine. And informed consent looks like a couple different things, okay? It looks like having a conversation, an actual conversation about risks, benefits, alternatives, and making sure that you get your questions answered. It comes from going in and saying to your doctor, hey, I'm here in life, I'm experiencing this, this, and this. These are my goals. What's the best treatment plan to get me there? And I think in medicine, we've gotten really far away from this, and I think we need to come back. And so there is something in good medicine called PARC, which is something that you would chart. It's procedures, alternatives, risks, and questions. And I think that the alternatives, risks, and questions are really, really important, because when was the last time you went to your doctor and talked about birth control and actually got a conversation about alternatives, actual risks, and got your questions answered? I am not anti-birth control. I think that there are times where birth control is one of the best things that you can do, right? It can be very empowering. There are times in somebody's life where maybe the risks associated with not being on birth control are too high, and I respect that. I respect your decision to make your decision for your body. Let's go through some times where birth control may actually be super duper indicated and times where birth control is not indicated at all. So first of all, if you are not at risk for pregnancy anymore, i.e. you're like menopausal, birth control is the worst, let me repeat this, the worst form of hormone replacement that you could be on. It is not hormone replacement. And I have a lot of women, unfortunately, like way higher numbers than I think should be, come into my office where they are menopausal and they're still being prescribed birth control as their option for HRT, and that is just honestly point blank bad medicine. The research clearly indicates that, and so that is one of the times that I would say this absolutely should not be used. Now, let's go through some of the changes that have been shown to happen when women are on birth control. Birth control functions to lower estrogen and progesterone, alter estrogen and progesterone, but mostly lower, so that we don't ovulate, and i.e. can't get pregnant. Great. So by that definition, we know that it alters estrogen and progesterone. Okay. Other things that birth control will alter. So birth control clearly alters testosterone. We know that on birth control, women have lower rates of testosterone and lower rates of free testosterone. This does change with progestin-only birth controls, but that is not as commonly used in pill form. Super commonly used in an IUD form, okay? The other thing that we know is that with oral birth control specifically, we know that rates of sex hormone binding globulin go up dramatically. So they can be as much as 7 times higher than women who have never been on oral birth control while you're on the pill. And then even after you come off of it, can be about 3 to 4 times higher. This is really, really, really important. It's really important because sex hormone binding globulin, which you will remember from previous videos, binds up our hormones and puts them kind of into storage, right? So we use free hormones. free testosterone, for example, is what we use for symptom management. When sex hormone binding globulin is very high, what we will end up doing is we will end up having a lot more capacity to bind our testosterone and not use it quite as effectively. So that's number one change. The second change that we know happens is that there are changes in thyroid hormones kind of at the cellular level. So not so much the CNS level, which is like the brain thyroid connection, right? What's mostly run when you get a terrible thyroid panel that's just DSH, that's just brain thyroid connection. What I'm talking about is changes in like increases in reverse T3, right? So we've done a whole video on this that you should go watch, but more or less reverse T3 is inactive, but binds the same receptor sites as T3 and can cause a lot of hypothyroid symptoms at a cellular level. We know that reverse T3 rises in women on oral birth control. Not all women, but a number. We know that oral birth control changes cortisol levels, and you will remember from previous videos that changes in cortisol will greatly impact pretty much all of our other hormones, along with our thyroid health, so that has some downstream effects. We know that oral birth control can change gut health, so there's some studies indicating that we have higher rates of things like candida and SIBO, and higher rates of gut inflammation when on oral birth control. Next is mood. So the number one reason why women get off oral birth control is anxiety and depression. And I think that's really, really, really important to know, because I think it's one of the things that women experience that they're kind of just like, it's just glossed over or thrown another medication at. And so that is the number one reason why women come off oral birth control. And then finally, we need to think of weight. So weight is a tricky thing. If you were to look this up on Google, you are gonna get a million different answers, and it's gonna be very unclear. So I'm gonna cite a study done at A&M. More or less what they did was they took a subset of women, and part were on oral birth control and part were not. They gave them the exact same workout regimen. And what they found is that at the end of the study, the women on oral birth control gained less muscle mass than the women off of it. The women who didn't take oral birth control gained 60% more lean muscle. 60%. If we go to metabolism, we know that lean muscle mass plays a huge role in metabolism. And so we just need to be able to look at the entire picture. And that's really why I wanted to do this video, is to help women kind of look at the entire picture and say, does this feel like the risk-benefit ratio is in favor of what I'm looking for in my life right now? Unfortunately, at the end of this article, they talk about some big, scary side effects of birth control that are usually mentioned when you start it and are low risk. So they talk about, for example, clots and perforations, like uterine perforations if you're doing IUDs. And they cite these super duper low numbers because they are low numbers. And they cite that informed consent should be done for those kind of things. Absolutely. I think that at the end of the day, right, those kind of things are mentioned to women. My question is, when was the last time the rest of these things were mentioned to women? Because again, I'm not opposed to oral birth control, unless you're menopausal, in which case then it's just bad medicine. But I think that we need to do a lot better at educating women, at empowering women to take control of their health and to be the guide of their own ship, because at the end of the day, you have to live in your body, you have to live with your symptoms, and you have to determine what you want in your life. And so I really hope this video was helpful. And we have so many resources on helping women to understand their hormones better. So if you have any questions on any of the stuff that I rattled off in this video, we have videos to help you understand it better, and I ask you to go and watch them. And we will see you next time for next time's video.